Hi, everybody. It's me and Shoma, also known as Raf. That's actually Raf is an abbreviated version of Raphael because Raphael is such a commonplace name. I just go by Raf or in Shoma, whatever. So the thing is, I used to write a lot of really long articles on both my DeviantArt site and also on my blog, which I haven't touched in ages. And I am very busy these days, both catch up on my commissions, but also I'm now a professional colorist for several local artists here in Los Angeles. So I'm very busy. And although I love the written word, truth is, it takes forever to do those kind of articles. And more to the point, and I really hate to say it, but nobody likes to read anymore these days. It's a horrible fact of life. At first I thought it was just simple-minded people. No offense to my brothers, but they can't stand my vocabulary, especially when I play around with it in my written works. But turns out nobody likes to read anymore. So much so that you could almost make a backhanded compliment on why comic books are so popular. But then I realized that comic books don't sell as well as comic book movies, and comic book movies barely have any reading in them as they are, so. But as it stands, I decided just to kind of cheat it and do a lot of video blogs. And I thought I'd start off with something that's been bothering me since I've been 9 years old. And honestly, I don't know if you guys can help me with this, but okay, so the Disney Channel started as early as 1983, I believe. I may be mistaken, but it started very early. And like many cable channels, when it started out, it had almost no original programming outside the large archive of films and shorts that Disney already had. But this was long before the age of the terrible Disney sitcoms, long before DuckTales, long before even The Wonderful World of Disney when that was revived in the early 90s. And this was not the Disney of today that's a multi-conglomerate. Another thing I miss about words, I say things better. But no, contrary to popular belief, Disney was not doing super well in the early 80s. And I'm not just talking about movies that underperformed or considered flops, like Watcher in the Woods or Something Wicked This Way Comes, or even Tron. It's good movies, but obviously this wasn't the Disney Renaissance that started with The Little Mermaid. Disney was still kind of struggling. On the other hand, the Disney Channel back then, when it began, had a wide variety of programming. Not just all the classic Disney movies, both live action and animated, but again the short films. But they also imported a lot of entertainment from outside Disney. I remember the live action miniseries based on the Narnia books from the BBC, the one with the questionable special effects. I also remembered the BBC version of The Borrowers used to air on this early version of the Disney Channel, as well as the Gary Owens hosted dinosaur documentaries like Son of Dinosaurs. In fact, Son of Dinosaurs was a big hour special that aired exclusively on the Disney Channel, I think. There was also Disney at Night, which was mostly adult programming. Mostly movies that were from other studios geared more for adults. In fact, I remember they used to show the 1980s version of Dune quite a bit on the Disney Channel, as well as BBC miniseries, like a kind of highbrow version of Treasure Island, different from the famous version of Disney's Treasure Island. And as well as a lot of music concerts. And of course they even showed BBC documentaries, nature documentaries, in particular one series called Super Sense, which had beautiful photography and effects recreating the senses that animals have that are quite different than human beings. I remember one sequence in particular talking about how flies have a much different perception of time than human beings do, and it was a whole sequence of a fly bothering a tea party done in super slow motion. So that really stuck with me. In other words, Disney Channel in the early days was actually pretty cool because it had a wide variety of programming, and this was before DuckTales and Little Mermaid, when Disney would just pretty much show only its stuff and its stuff alone, and light years before we got all these really horrible teenage-centric sitcoms with intensely stupid characters and questionable morality. It's like, I think one internet critic made a very good point that Disney used to be about celebrating the underdogs or the outcasts or the weirdos in the world, and then came things like Lizzie McGuire. To be fair, Lizzie McGuire may have not been the worst of these, but it definitely kind of opened up the floodgates for these kind of popular kid comedies that kind of made fun of the different. But anyways, getting to the point, back then, one of the things the old Disney Channel used to do was air a lot of short films, half an hour TV specials. I think some of these were Canadian productions. I remember, as well as full-length TV movies. I remember the Not Quite Human movies, especially the third one. That was surprisingly good, which was about a family who creates an android son who is about a young adult or a teenager, so it wasn't like a little kid. I remember the third one in the Not Quite Human trilogy was very, very good, especially since it was more of an emphasis on action adventure, complete with a climax where the android son robot battled a full-blown evil robot, like something out of VR Troopers' first season. There was also another Canadian TV movie, full length, about a kid who traveled the world by magically traveling in stamps themselves. But it was one of those fantasy movies where they didn't really keep the special effects for the budget for the special effects. So it was more of a travelogue film, if anything. And of course the Gary Owen documentaries with the dinosaurs, which themselves were kind of narrative based. Like, I remember one called Prehistoric World, dealing with megafauna like mammoths and whatnot. That one kind of had a narrative where it was Gary Owens and another guy. I keep forgetting what the other host is, but if I ever do a video blog about these old documentaries, I'll let you know. Oh, and it was also the Disney Channel where I first saw Dinosaur, which was that really impressive documentary with the stop motion from Phil Tippett, spin-off from his short film The Prehistoric Beast, and hosted by Christopher Reeves, of course the late actor who played Superman. So it was and I was a week that Disney had these dinosaur-related shorts, ranging from their own studio-based Reluctant Dragon full-length feature, which was the short film mixed with a kind of a ham-fisted behind-the-scenes look at the making of Disney films, back from the day too. So this was like 1950s vintage. Of course, there was the Gary Owen documentary. Son of Dinosaurs was a big premiere. There was this really interesting animated short film about a dragon, an old geezer dragon who lived in the railroad tunnel and befriended a little girl, and the dragon even wore a scarf. I know Nevada did a Canadian company, again, a lot of Canadian imported programming. They did the animation about that. So let me get to my point. The short film that I'm thinking that has eluded me since I used to watch it all the time as a child, especially with my family. They remember it too, but we can't think of the title to save the life of us. And in all honesty, doing a Google search for short films based on short films based on lake monsters, had kind of a kaiju-related Freudian moment there, is impossible to get a complete list without all the usual suspects. Beyond Loch Ness, the first giant monster movie of 2008 from Sci-Fi Channel, Crater Lake Monster, Lake Placid, No, this was a half-an-hour television special filmed on real film stock, a real short film. And it may have been a Canadian production, may have been an American production, may have even been an Australian production, or even a British production. But this mystery film has eluded me and has confused me for ages. When I have free time, I usually go online and try to do these long searches for it. No luck whatsoever. I've mentioned it on forums, and all I keep getting is references to movies that have absolutely nothing to do with what I'm talking about, like a really crappy Disney movie from the 70s, The Cherry Lake Monster, or The Quest was an Australian movie that supposedly has a lake monster, but it turns out it's just construction equipment that rises to the surface from the bottom of a lake every once in a while. That gets mistaken for a monster, so it's a Scooby-Doo plot. This one definitely was a giant monster, lake monster creature, where the creature was very much real and not a hoax at the end. So the plot of this elusive mystery monster movie is that a young man, probably a boy in his late childhood, like 10 years old to maybe early teens, goes to visit his grandfather who lived by a lake. And this lake is being drained, I think, or it's being drained or converted into something through a construction project, complete with a dam door. And whatever the case, the lake isn't going to be around much longer. I'm a better writer than a speaker, people. So the grandfather tells the son about all these stories about a plesiosaur living in a lake monster. The plesiosaur itself we see mostly in flashbacks, and it may just be my childhood nostalgia getting the effects wrong. Sort of like how I thought the Triceratops in Your Hunter from the Future looked absolutely realistic when I was a kid, but then when you revisit it, it doesn't look that good. But then again, the Tyrannosaurus puppet in the Disney-related movie, My Science Project, still holds up surprisingly well for a 1980s rod puppet from a 1980s low-budget science fiction comedy, or semi-low-budget science fiction comedy. So, from what my memories, the plesiosaur was sort of tan-colored and was portrayed through a puppet amongst rather well-done miniatures of the lake dam and of the lake itself. And there was one beautiful shot I remember where the lake monster is swimming past a bunch of old construction equipment during the evening dusk. So you have this beautiful silhouette of a plesiosaur passing the background silhouettes of forests and machines with a beautiful backdrop of sunset sky. So the grandfather and the son reminisce and talk about this lake monster, and they both realize that this poor creature is going to be trapped in the lake and possibly even killed if the lake is fully drained and the construction project is finished. So one night they decide to either they hear the creature calling them late one night during a storm, by the way, or I may be mistaken, it could not have been a storm, but it was definitely some kind of atmospheric thing was happening. And they go to the unguarded lake dam, which is like one of those giant dams that open or close to let water in or out. Sort of like something you see at this, oh, forgive me if I'm getting the name wrong, the Suez Canal, where ships go through the Brazil, South America. Something like that. It's a huge mechanical door, and they realize that this will probably be one of the last times before the mechanical door is either permanently locked and the lake is drained, meaning that this poor giant plesiosaur is going to be stuck in the lake and possibly killed, of course. So one night, they either hear the creature calling or they make their own effort to go and free the creature. And again, from what I remember from my childhood, beautiful creature effects. The plesiosaur, you see the plesiosaur's full body just in the shallow water of the ocean, in the lake. And the grandfather and the young man are able to open the mechanical floodgate and let the huge plesiosaur go out to sea. And I think there may have been a sequence where, again, you have a beautiful silhouette of the creature swimming out into the moonlit ocean, and the grandfather and the boy definitely sees it. And it's not as simple as I make it out to be. I know there was some sort of crisis that was making it difficult. Either the dam door was incredibly difficult for just the two of them to work, or there really was some sort of storm or flood going on. Now, the titles roll on this short film, and the last image of the whole short film, and it's a rather clever one, again, all done with puppets and model effects, is we see the plesiosaur rise its head in a new lake somewhere elsewhere in the world, and it's a beautiful kind of orange or sepia tone sky. Like, again, maybe it's sunset or maybe it's sunrise or something. And in the background, there's a very familiar castle at the end of the lake. And another plesiosaur rises out of the ocean, and of course, it's the Loch Ness Monster. The plesiosaur has found its way to Loch Ness and has met up with the Loch Ness Monster, another member of its same species. Again, two hand puppets. But very well done special effects from what I remember. More my science project than your Hunter of the Future. And then the short film ends on that kind of wonderful little melancholy note. Now, again, this thing was probably no more than 25 minutes to 30 minutes. Most likely a Canadian production, if not maybe... I want to say it's an Australian production, but Australia wasn't really doing any TV specials with major monster elements and effects until Ultraman Towards the Future came along, at least to the best of my knowledge. There were plenty of Australian movies with monsters, like Razorback and whatnot, but nothing exactly... television-wise. So it might have been British, but I don't remember any British accents in the short. And I really doubt it's American. A little bit of spit came out there. I don't know if you saw it on camera. But yeah, most likely it was a Canadian short film. And Disney used to run this short film all the time. Again, they had plenty of these kind of short films ranging from 15 minutes to a full half an hour as filler. And I don't remember many of these short films, but this one with the plesiosaur and the grandfather and the child, the grandson, it sticks with me to this day. And this was long before, unfortunately, I discovered the wonders of VHS tapes. I know my family used to record some stuff off VHS tapes, but, it's like, for example, we had the 1986 remake of Little Shop of Horrors and Batteries Not Included, as well as the Michael Jackson vehicle Moonwalker as entertainment on VHS tapes they recorded for us. But we never really recorded any of the dinosaur stuff from Disney. When we did, it was the Gary Owen documentaries, or the Reluctant Dragon full-length movie, or Dinosaur with Christopher Reeves and the Phil Tippett effects. Stop motion effects, by the way, not CGI. But as far as this plesiosaur short film went, we never caught that one, and it's a shame because that would probably be a jewel in my collection of DVDs and VHS tapes that I probably would have converted to DVD R by now. So there you go. That's in Shoma's Mystery Monster movie. This thing has been vexing me since I was a child. I can't remember the title. I know some people say that it might be The Long Swim Home, but The Long Swim Home might be a contemporary short film about a lake monster, and from what I understand, not a good one. Definitely no awesome puppet effects in there. And maybe you guys remember this short film, or maybe, you guys can probably know a better way to rediscover these short films. In fact, you might be a lot of Canadian viewers who might know exactly what I'm talking about, whereas my American watchers probably don't. It might even be one of those cases where the movie's available in every country but the English-speaking territories. So I'm really hoping one of you guys knows exactly what I'm talking about, or at least can confirm outside me and my immediate family that this movie exists. And that's pretty much it. Mystery short film about a grandfather and grandson helping a plesiosaur get out of a lake that's about to be destroyed by construction. It's not the Crater Lake Monster. It's not Beyond Loch Ness. It's not the Cherry Lake Monster. It's its own thing, and I can't think of the title to save the life of me. I can't find the title thanks to Lake Monster being incredibly generic terminology. Isn't it funny that the most obscure giant monsters in the world all have the most generic titles imaginable, making them even more obscure? Oh Lord. And that's pretty much it. I hope you guys can help me out here. So I'll have more video blogs in the future. As far as other personal updates, I have a big comic job I need to get done before May 1st, so that's pretty much my main goal right now. Brendan Tenold has another video review coming up. I've already done the title card for that. Usually I do previews, but the gag with this title card, I'm very happy with the way this one came out. It's better to keep it a surprise until it's fully up there. It would be kind of hard to do a preview even if I wanted to. And then Brendan and I have something very special planned. Brendan mostly, I'm just doing title card art. But we have something really special planned for May to correspond with you know who. And hopefully I can get back on podcasting with the Power Ranger centric series Podcasters with Attitude. Me and my friend Berkion from Tennessee and Wade, the host of the show, we wanted to do an Ultra 7 retrospective because Ultra 7, the TNT dubbed version, kind of has a strange connection to the Power Rangers in the sense that it was among the many Japanese-centric superhero shows that came on during the wave of Power Rangers, except it actually was a full-blown Japanese series that just happened to be dubbed. But it looks like that's not going to happen anytime soon, and I had my computer rebooted recently thanks to my friend Hwanja, who I'll put links below, also known as Mark Rivers. Unfortunately, not everything's working out okay. I have my Photoshop, I have my scanner, and I have my internet working again, finally, thank you. But the computer still needs a lot more work in other departments. And again, my big job right now is doing coloring on a comic. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully I will be free in May itself because Berkion and I, as well as a female artist named C2, who could very much use some commissions from you, I'll put a link. She and us, we're trying to get a comic to be submitted to Image. And it's, even though it's Giant Monster related, we really do have confidence that this is a very unique story and a very special one in its own right. Especially since everyone these days are homaging kaiju, Japanese monster movies. We're doing something homaging the monster movies of the 1950s Americana, with a little bit of a flair of the kaiju and the mecha in there, but for the most part, very much in the vein of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, or The Land Unknown, or Monolith Monsters, or, a small town under siege by a supernatural menace, or a giant monster in this case, like Earth versus the Spider or something like that. More about that later. And I'll also be doing a title card for Ralph Bear, link below, for his next anime-related video. Hopefully it will actually play in America on YouTube, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's basically what I'm doing right now. Hopefully I'll be free in May to go back to regular artwork and to finish all of my commissions, but as it stands, the colorist job comes first and foremost. Another problem of signing contracts. I apologize about those who are still waiting, but I am getting on top of you guys. A little bit every day goes a long way. Of course, it also means I'm stuck here all the time. And that's pretty much it. I'll have more for you guys in the future. Sorry if this was a little too long-winded. And as well as not the best environment. It's like I'm still getting my room ready around here, so forgive the kind of construction background going on back there. And that's it. So thank you so much, guys. Hope to see you. I'll talk to you again later, or sooner than later. Bye.